Welcome to the EdDevelop channel. Have you ever heard of the infinite hotel paradox? First introduced by the renowned mathematician David Hilbert in the early 20th century, the infinite hotel paradox is a fascinating thought experiment that has perplexed mathematicians and laypeople alike. The paradox centers on the idea of an infinite hotel and poses the question, how can such a hotel accommodate an infinite number of guests, even if it's already full? This paradox illustrates the problems of infinity and forces us to grapple with some of the most fundamental concepts in mathematics. In this video, we'll explore the infinite hotel paradox and the implications of this mind-bending conundrum. The hotel infinity paradox, also known as Hilbert's grand hotel paradox, is a thought experiment proposed by German mathematician David Hilbert in 1925. The paradox presents an interesting puzzle regarding infinity, and even after nearly a century, it still has mathematicians scratching their heads. It all starts with a seemingly simple question. What would happen if an infinite number of guests arrived at an infinitely large hotel? This seemingly innocuous question has caused a lot of debate over the years, as it calls into question our understanding of mathematics and the concept of infinity. In this video, we'll explore the origins of the paradox and delve into some possible solutions. We'll also discuss why this paradox is still relevant today and how it can help us better understand the nature of infinity. So, without further ado, let's dive into the hotel infinity paradox. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and activate the bell to receive future updates from us. If you want to actively contribute to the growth of the channel, keep in mind our Patreon. Find the link in the description. What is the hotel infinity paradox? The hotel infinity paradox is a thought experiment proposed by mathematician David Hilbert in the late 19th century that has long been a source of fascination for mathematicians and philosophers alike. The paradox involves a hotel with an infinite number of rooms, each occupied by a guest. It then asks what would happen if one more guest requested a room. Surprisingly, no matter how many guests check in, there will still be an infinite number of rooms available. This paradox can be seen as a contradiction since it seems to suggest that an infinite set can increase in size while remaining infinite. Despite its seeming impossibility, the paradox is still unresolved and has sparked a great deal of debate among mathematicians and philosophers. One possible resolution could involve the concept of infinity is divided into two distinct types, actual infinity and potential infinity. According to this interpretation, even though there are an infinite number of rooms already filled, the hotel can still accommodate new guests through potential infinity, meaning additional rooms can become available by rearranging existing ones. Another way of looking at the paradox is from a mathematical point of view. It may be possible to describe a new arrangement of existing finite elements that add up to an infinite whole. How did Hilbert come up with the paradox? In the early 1900s, mathematician David Hilbert was considering a problem posed by George Cantor, who had proposed a new way of understanding infinity. In his musings, Hilbert stumbled upon what has come to be known as the infinite hotel paradox. The paradox revolves around an infinite hotel with an infinite number of rooms. The hotel is full and each room has exactly one occupant. Then, a new guest arrives and asks for a room. Assuming that no other guests leave, how can the hotel accommodate the new guest? Hilbert proposed two possible solutions to the paradox. Either move the guest from room number 1 to room number 2, then move the guest from room 2 to room 3 and so on until you reach infinity, or add another level above all the current rooms so that the new guest can take room 1 of the new floor. Hilbert's paradox introduces a novel way of thinking about infinity and highlights some of the limitations of traditional mathematical models in dealing with such concepts. The idea of this paradox has been popularized over the years and continues to be discussed in both philosophical and scientific circles. Despite its age, it remains relevant in today's world as we continue to explore ideas of infinity. What are some possible resolutions to the paradox? One possible resolution to the infinity hotel paradox is to assume that there are a finite number of guests, and thus the hotel can never be filled. This would explain why an infinite number of guests can enter the hotel without it ever being full. Another possible solution is to assume that the new guests enter the hotel via teleportation or some other form of instant transportation. This would also explain why an infinite number of guests could enter the hotel without it ever being full. A third possible resolution to the paradox is to accept that the hotel can have an infinite number of guests, and that the guests will exist in some kind of abstract state when they are in the hotel, not occupying any particular physical space. This allows for a situation where an infinite number of guests could simultaneously be inside the hotel, and yet it remains empty. Finally, some philosophers have suggested that the paradox can be resolved by accepting that the infinity of the hotel's capacity does not represent a true infinity, but rather an infinitesimal. This would mean that even if the hotel has an infinite capacity, it can still be filled, albeit with an infinitely small amount of guests. Ultimately, there are many different ways to interpret and resolve the infinity hotel paradox. While each approach has its own merits, there is no consensus among philosophers as to which interpretation is correct. Thus, this paradox remains an intriguing and mind-bending conundrum. Why is the infinity hotel paradox still relevant today? The infinity hotel paradox is still relevant today because it highlights the counterintuitive nature of infinity. Even though it was originally posed in the early 20th century, it continues to be studied in mathematics, logic, and computer science classes as a tool for helping students understand infinity better. It also serves as a reminder of how difficult it can be to make sense of something that is not bound by the rules of the physical world. The paradox is also significant in other areas of science, such as physics and astronomy. It can help to illustrate the mind-boggling concept of an infinite universe and the implications of this on the observable universe. Additionally, the paradox is often used to explore potential solutions to the mathematical challenges of quantum mechanics and general relativity. Moreover, the paradox can also be applied to everyday life, particularly when it comes to decision-making and problem-solving. In business, for example, it can be used as an example of how organizations should think outside of the box when considering different solutions to problems. In everyday life, it can be used as a tool for helping us make sense of seemingly impossible situations and find creative solutions to them. In short, the infinity hotel paradox continues to be relevant today because it helps us understand and appreciate the power and possibilities of infinity, and how our finite minds are capable of comprehending such a concept. By exploring this paradox further, we can learn more about ourselves and the world around us. The hotel infinity paradox is an enduring puzzle that has eluded mathematicians for more than a century. Despite its simple description, the paradox remains unresolved to this day. It serves as an example of the unexpected implications of infinity and highlights the limits of mathematics when confronted with the infinite. This paradox reveals the complexity of the concept of infinity and the subtlety of Hilbert's approach to mathematical reasoning. While the puzzle is unlikely to be solved shortly, further investigation into the subject can help us to better understand the implications of infinity on our mathematical understanding. Additionally, exploring alternative approaches and interpretations of the hotel problem may prove helpful in understanding other paradoxes that involve infinity. Further study of the hotel infinity paradox may lead to new insights and fresh perspectives on how we view infinity and its impact on human logic. Although it's impossible to find a definitive answer to the hotel problem, learning more about it can provide valuable insight into how we think about concepts such as eternity and timelessness. Ultimately, grappling with Hilbert's mind-bending conundrum may lead us to greater knowledge and a deeper appreciation of the mysterious nature of infinity. That is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. What did you think about our video? And let me know if you solved Hilbert's paradox. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button. Also, leave a comment if you have a topic you want us to cover. Until next time, take care.